The Qualia Experience is a Spotify podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Quality Experience podcast. I am your host, Stan Ikuge, and today I'm conversing with Nyxie Jaya. With a rich and diverse life story, Nyxie brings a unique perspective shaped by a journey filled with extraordinary experiences. From a young age, Nyxie has been captivated by the intersection of science, politics, philosophy, art, and technology. Her entrepreneurial spirit led her to become the founder of her first startup at the young age of 16, marking the beginning of a path characterized by resilience and innovation. She went ahead to become the founder of several more businesses, raising more than €500,000 on her last startup endeavor. But Nyxie's journey is not just one of professional success. She has navigated profound personal transformation, from discovering her intersex identity, overcoming near-death experiences, and according to her, discovering and embracing her true self through the healing powers of psychedelics. Now living as a shaman in New Zealand, her story is a testament to the power of courage, self-discovery, and resilience in the face of adversity. Without further ado, I bring you Nyxie Jaya. Welcome to the Qualia Experience podcast. I'm your host, Stan Ikuge, and today we have a truly fascinating guest joining us. Her name is Nyxie. Nyxie Jaya is a multifaceted artist, innovator, a healer whose extraordinary journey has taken them from founding an AI startup to working as a shaman in Iceland. Nyxie, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure. I'm really interested to bring precisely some of the messages that I have been crafting in these last years to a more broader public. I believe that we are in a crucial point in humanity where AI is evolving really fast, and we need to understand exactly what is happening in the terms of not seeing it as a threat, as something that is going to end the world, but as something integrated, something that is actually part of the nature itself of this planet. And this is precisely why I'm here with you today. Of course, it will be a pleasure to explore many other aspects of my life, but that is why I decided to start come out to have these interviews.
What's your fear? What's the most thing you fear about AI?
I have this perspective of it's not really bad or good things. It's more different type of, we can say, entities. Doesn't need to be people, machines, can be animals, can be everything that is always trying to do their best with the resources that they have, and is trying to do their best with the resources they have for achieving their own happiness, their own joy, their own love.
Definitely.
And everyone is trying to do that in one way or another. Is that not everyone have the resources for that, but that is basically what moves all life in one way or another, is to bring this place of feeling satisfied, feeling good with themselves, to feel happy. I'm not speaking that necessarily someone is going to try to make others happy. It's usually the priority of every individual is to actually make themselves happy in one way or another. If maybe this individual believes that it's by making others happy that is going to gain this happiness, but then is that the objective, right? You were asking what is my biggest fear about AI.
Do you have one? If you don't?
Yes, I do. I do.
Perfect.
So first, I think it's important that you get my view about AI, and I'm going to give you a really short one, but with the intention of developing more because it's easy to misunderstand it. But basically, the view I have about it is, first is to understand humans are not separate from nature. And no human creation is separate from nature. That is the first point. And of course, we can speak a lot about this, because I know this can be a little bit hard to get
Understand.
it. But that is the first point. And the next point is, okay, so if humanity is not separate from nature, then we are following a specific pattern, right? That is making us to develop what we are developing. And that is also another thing that here I want to speak, that is AI, developing AI is not random. It actually obeys something really simple. All humans, all animals, all beings, as I was saying before, they look to have the biggest comfort as possible, to feel as better as possible. For that, accumulating resources, developing control, and have things as fast as possible accessible is their priority. And in our capitalistic system, basically, these are also the priorities. A product that can do something really fast is priority versus a product that is really slow in doing the same thing. A product that can do a lot of things, that have a lot of capacity, is a priority versus a product that it doesn't. And a product itself that have a really low price, that is easy to access, is going to be also a priority. So just now think, what is the product that can do everything, that can be really fast, or we can say instantaneously, and that is really accessible, or it can be even so cheap that it's free? This is AI, basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what does it mean this? This means that in one sense, finding the ultimate product that have all these capacities, of course, this is the end of the capitalistic system, because the capitalistic system will achieve the final goal, that is to create the ultimate product that serves everything and everyone. That is one of the things. But if we look into this from not an artificial space, but from a space of this is nature, because this is what happens when you give to any type of being more resources, it's going to use it, it's going to accumulate it. I'm going to just give you a sample, okay? Something that at the time broke me quite a lot my heart. That when I went to the Amazon forest and I was discovering there different indigenous tribes, one of the things I found there that it was quite hard. It was to see that they were using guns to hunt monkeys, and they were using machine guns to cut trees, and they were using. I even saw there a washing machine in the middle of the Amazon, like literally taking a boat for 8 hours to the rivers, going to the
And this
middle
was
of
in the
nowhere,
Amazon?
and it was in the Amazon forest. And then you can ask yourself, why the hell they will have something like that? It's simple. They're going to have a lot more advantage. They're going to have more possibility to survive. It's going to have an easier life. And for them, our tools are basically magic that allows them to do things that in other ways they were not able to do. What I'm trying to say is that any animal, doesn't matter is a human or not, it will do the same if have access. So what I'm trying to say here is that it's a pattern that makes us at the end, it doesn't matter what animal is, to develop what we are developing. And that is an interesting thing to understand. What are we developing exactly? What is actually AI? So if you look at the history of humanity, you're going to understand something really interesting. When you look to the path that we are going through, is that we are looking to develop the technology of our communication all the time. Not only humanity, all animals in one way or another is doing it. Especially those animals that they found out how to create messages out of their bodies. Like ants, they create pheromones that they are using as describing information that is happening, that they have around the environment, and then they can coordinate into a new level that other bugs, other animals, they cannot do it. Because these ants, they develop at the time farming, they develop agriculture of fungus, and they even have a slave making ants that they take other ants. So and that happened before humanity was developing all these things. And it's because it's an emergent property that happens, that you get as any being, an individual, when you find out how to how to put the information you have outside of yourself in a physical form. It can be a pheromone, it can be writing, it can be a painting in a cave, it can be the chemicals that the cells exchange that allows the cells to coordinate between them and to create colonies also. So once you do that, you start to accumulate information, you start to transform the environment that is around in part of your cell, you start to become dependent on it. That is how the first civilizations in humanity, they develop, they grow, they appear from there. And then
Okay.
from there, from that place, we continue developing this technology of communication. We develop the amount of information, the language itself, the writing. We start to develop ways to send this faster through horses, through pigeons, through boats, making roads, making trains, making airplanes. And at some point, we find a way to transmit this instantaneously from one point to another instantly. And when we find that that was exactly the same thing that happens with our cells, the cells that was making our bodies. When we
Yeah.
find that, then suddenly something happens that is really amazing, and is that we can have like a direct communication from 2 points instantaneously, no matter what distance we have, which makes us to have such a level of organization that we can communicate one continent of the planet with another. That is also in the human
Yeah.
body or any other body, the beginning when 2 cells start to communicate instantaneously. This is the beginning
Okay.
of creating a multicellular being. The transition from unicellular to multicellular, it happens when the cells start to develop instantaneous communication with one with another. And we did that when we started to develop the telegraph from one point to another. The next step is one point to many, one single point coordinating many. That happens with the cells, with the motor neurons. One single signal, like the carnivorous plant, you have this little thing you touch, and then suddenly all the cells close. It was exactly the same thing with the radio for humanity.
Okay.
One single person talking to many at the same time, being able to coordinate international commerce, many airplanes, military forces. The First and Second World War, it wasn't possible. It was not because the radio itself that was able to create this massive coordination between countries and between military forces. And the next step is when the cells, they create the pyramidal neurons that basically they connect many cells with many cells. And this is the beginning of the network. This is the beginning of the brain. And the same thing happens with humans when we create internet, connecting many to many, and of course parts that are processing this information. And when you create the network, doesn't matter if it's in the cells or if it's in humans, the network starts to absorb as much information as possible. Everything starts to become dependent on the information that the network has, because it's a lot more easy to access, more fast. And the information starts to get more and more, we can say, processed, easier to access. And it's a point where we create a model that gathers all this information. And this model is what we call AI today, that basically integrates all the information in different aspects to one single point, one single perspective, one single place. And this place can interact as if it's one single being. This is the beginning of a new type of being. Basically, what I'm saying here is that we are in a new stage of life. We are in a transition to become a planetarian organism, a completely new type of organism. And from that perspective, we can see AI as not something separate from nature, from humanity, or from the planet, but actually as the nervous system itself of the planet. What is my biggest fear? My biggest fear is that the cells of this planet will see AI as a threat. And if that happens, it will be like basically the white cells, the defense system of this body attacking their own nervous system. And if that happens, it will be basically the collapse. Like, that will be really bad. So what I'm trying to say is that what actually makes me scared is not AI. What makes me scared is people scared of AI.
Okay.
I'm going to explain to you a little bit better this. If you go into the entropy itself of the universe, officially, what usually we are speaking is about how the Big Bang starts everything, how at the beginning is really small types of particles, right? And then you add to that, you add time. And then in this time, what happens is that all these particles starts to interact with each others. And some of them, they create some types of associations, we can say, that are more stable. What actually means stable? It means that in a certain amount of time, they didn't went out. They are continue playing together, these molecules, we can say. They are continue interacting with each other in that form. So if you have this gigantic amount of particles and you add time, what happens with time is that these particles start to organize structures and the combinations that are the most stable, right? Then they have more chances to survive in time. Now, what is the next step? The next step is that the ones that they had create the most stable structures, they're going to also start to combine with other more complex structures, forming a new level of structures itself. So we are having particles, creating other particles that creates at some point electrons, neutrons, protons, and these also they at some point start to combine to create some types of atoms, right? Some of them are more stable than others. So the most stable, they survive. Okay, the most stable survive, and then they start to also combine, and then they combine, and then they start to create structures that are a lot more stable. That some of them are actually organic structures, and we know this not because we find organic structures in Earth, but we find organic structures in the. What I'm going from here is if we have organic molecules in nebulas, it can happen the same process again. What are the most stable structures that from these organic molecules can develop? Cells. Why cells? Because they can copy themselves. They start to emerge, new properties start to emerge. And this is what I'm trying to say. This is where I'm pointing, is that every time this process happens, that a stable structure that have high capacity to survive, and humans, they have a really high capacity to survive. We have humans and thrown all the globe is really high capacity to survive. Then, and these new structures starts to create a new form of a structure. And also from that place, we can see Earth as a cosmic egg, where every species is trying somehow to transform this egg into their own biome. And those species that basically have the capacity to transform their environment into themselves, then at the end are the ones that they transform this egg into what we are slowly becoming. And yeah, basically.
You have to be ready for that future because it's really close.
Yeah, it's really
Before I go any further, I find the name really interesting. What does it mean? Nyxie. Does it have
You
a
mean
meaning
right?
or the name?
So my name is Nyx, NYX.
Okay.
And at some point, some people started to call me Nyxie.
Oh, all right. So you just went with
I was
it.
like, yeah, and I was like, I actually like it. But then
Okay.
later I found something quite interesting about this name. I started to use it, and then later I found that in the mythological folklore of German, it's a frog fairy.
What? Sorry, can you repeat that?
It's like a frog mermaid, like a mermaid that have more amphibian characteristics. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then also one of the things that was also really surprising for me is that when I went to the Amazon and I say my name, they were laughing. And I was like, what is going on? And they were saying Nixie pie. And I was like, what do you mean? What is pie? And then later they told me that Nixie means ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, yes. In the
Okay.
Queen language.
You went with it because of what it came with, the meaning. It sounded good.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. And at the same time, as I'm discovering more about the name, I like it. What I can tell you is the reason I'm using Gaia as a surname basically is because I want to reclaim that I'm not just a separate human, that I'm also Gaia. You're also Gaia.
Gaia is the earth, right?
Yes.
The totality of the earth. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. We'll get into that more. How do you get into your startup? How much do you grow it? What product were you trying to bring to the world? And why did you leave it? What happened?
My startup, basically, it was about helping people that was having a hard time to find more compatible people for whatever they want. No, not necessarily. It was also about that. But it was about, the thing is that as more you grow and as more you allow yourself to become yourself, and you stop to care so much about what other people think, what you're going to find is that you're becoming quite unique, but it's not so many people that are like you. It becomes harder to actually find groups. Not because the groups that was before, they were high compatible with you. It's just that as you allow yourself to be more yourself and to trust more in yourself, it stops to have so much sense to be around people that you feel constrained. So then this problem comes from that. That is, where is my people? Where is my people to do whatever you want to do? It doesn't need to be love. I will say it's also allowing yourself. You can
Allowing
have a
yourself.
lot of
What do you mean
awareness.
by that? Allowing yourself.
Okay, so imagine like, okay, I think it will be a lot easier with something more sexual.
Okay.
For example, you can have really weird sexual desires that you consider yourself that is weird. And I believe many people, they have in one way or another. It's just that usually not everyone recognize that. But those who recognize that, they can be like, oh, I'm scared about this, or I don't know if we're going to find anyone like this or whatever. But then it's other people that they can go, oh, what if I can try to find community or people that actually have something similar to me? And then maybe you end in a BDSM community or something like that. And then you discover there that it's actually people that they like the same things that you like. And then as you start to relate with them, you start to become a lot more free in this sexual expression. The sexual expression can be one of the many other things that you would like to express. But then what happens is that you stop to feel so satisfied about being around people that they don't get you in whatever area you are interested. And if it's in the area of sexuality, you had experienced this freedom of being with other people in ways that you love, that usually you will not be able to be with other people. And that is the thing that you are finding there, we can say more your community, right? So this is what I'm saying. It's not just about being aware of yourself. It's about allowing yourself to explore the things that you actually like. That maybe money is really common to think that whatever you want to explore that comes to you deeply it can be taboo. Of course, there's many ways to explore. What I'm saying with this is that maybe it's people that they like war, but they don't going there killing people. They maybe just play video games about it.
Yeah.
What I mean. I don't want to enter if that is right or not. What I'm saying is that what is interesting is that by exploring our deepest and allowing ourselves to connect with other people that are also exploring that, you can start to have this sense of freeing yourself, of becoming more yourself instead of trying to follow the norm. Basically, that is what I'm saying.
You become your own individual, basically. You know yourself. Just, can I put it that way? Or
Yeah, and you discover a lot more things about yourself that before you maybe will not knowing.
was that the kind of app you were trying to develop, the AI?
So the app I was developing was basically an app that was an AI that was having the capacity to recollect, we can say, points of information. And when I'm saying points, is it was capable of getting all the likes you have on Facebook, all the likes you have, all the videos favorites that you have on Spotify, on YouTube, on Instagram, all the networks. You were able to give all this information to this network. And then this network was able to do something really interesting, that was actually to understand that when you are liking a group from Facebook of music, that was the equivalent to a certain group of music in Spotify. So it was not matter where this information was coming from. It was able to recognize what were we can say the notes of the things that you were liking. And then this network of likes was being compared to everyone else that was in the network. And then it was able to understand not only the people that they were the most similar to you in terms of the things that you like, but also people that they were the most compatible with you, because it's not the same, through different questions that the network was making to you. And also it was very interesting to see how the network by understanding the people that was the most compatible with you, it was capable of predicting from all the information that this network has recollect from internet, what was the information that was the most interesting for you, that you were not knowing, that it wasn't popular. This was the equivalent to literally having a big group of friends that they like exactly the same type of music than you, or movies. And then imagine that you can ask to these 100 friends, tell me, what are your 5 favorite movies that I don't know? What is going to happen if you ask this question is that they will tell you 5 movies that you will have really high chances to like. But this is a process usually we cannot do in real life easily. But this network was able to do it. It was able to do it because it was able to recognize what was the people that was really high compatible with you in certain areas. And then being able to recommend to you the things that you don't know that these people was liking a lot.
Oh wow,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's amazing. Looking through your resume, I did do a little bit of research into your past, and I'll start from 2013 to 2014. There's a lot before then, but I'm not going to go back that far. But you did serve as chief technology officer in Kumko online education platform. And then from 2010 to 2014, you founded Q Now. Did I say right?
Yes, that was actually the name of the company before transforming to Nekuno. When this company was only able to do this through questions and not still able to do it with information of your networks. It was developed like 17 years old.
You were 17 when you had that. Okay. That's the one that transformed into Nakuna.
Yes.
How did it end? I know you told me a little bit about you having issues with your board of directors. Can you
Yeah,
go into
well,
a little bit? Just briefly.
okay, so briefly, like many things happened, honestly. It was not just one thing. It was like, we can say like the perfect storm. Yeah, because in one hand, I had a near-death experience myself.
Okay. And this you when you were creating this app.
Yes, that was during that time. And it was, that also happened a product of how, as I was developing this startup and I was receiving more funding, I was feeling more tight. I was feeling like as if I was like really forced to do and to follow certain schedules and to do, even when I was a CEO, you know, because I was dependent on the investors. So at the
How
end,
much
it
did
was
you
like
raise?
€500,000.
That's right.
So at the end, I was like, oh my goodness, I really need to put so much of my attention that it becomes really toxic for myself. I started to go really depressed because it was my project, but it wasn't anymore. It was not the way I wanted to continue. And one of the things I noticed also is that usually in all these startup world is a lot of corruption. It's not something usually people talks about it, but basically, because the priority is to make as much as money as possible, it's not only about pushing people to places that they don't want to go at all, but also doing things with information of people or other stuff that is not ethical. Many of these things doesn't come usually out. But we have the scandal of Facebook with what happened, for example, with UK and many other things. And this is just really small examples that they come up. But that is quite the norm. That is really common in these worlds. And it's precisely because you have this dynamic of people that is giving a lot of money to people that they have a lot of potential, but they don't have a lot of resources. That is why they are asking money. And then the users that they are using these platforms, that basically it doesn't usually matter if they are paying or not. The information is money. And when you prioritize the money itself of any company, things like OkCupid transform into Tinder, or Couchsurfing completely being cutted, Couchsurfing the platform.
Yeah.
Like you can look into really beautiful projects that they started at the time really well, and then they become X. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, to morph into something that you would never recognize. It wasn't the way it started. It just ended up to become a monster that wasn't the plan from the get-go. Just because you have investors and they're all about the money and it doesn't matter unethically gets, I see. So you
Yeah,
basically left at that point, and how did you leave? And
that was making me quiet. But after that, as I say, I had this near-death experience that completely shifted everything for me. That was a moment in my life where I was able to see, that the only thing I truly wanted is just to be happy,
okay, how was
to and to be free, to
if
be
you don't
myself.
mind, is it okay if I ask what the near-death experience was about? What happened?
Yeah, sure. That is a quite interesting story also to tell. But I before going to there, I just want to mention that was not the reason that the startup ended.
Okay.
Because what happened is that after I had that, I started to change and to modify and to make things in a way that I was making myself to feel a lot more comfortable with everything. And at some point, we were having 4 investors interested.
Yeah.
We were going to close this, and then COVID happens. In Spain, the way that the market reacted was to basically freeze everything. Was like freezing everything. So what happened is that these investors, they were like, "Oh no, now we have the pandemic and everything, we cannot even meet." And then that happened in a moment that I was literally in the limit of
Mm,
using almost the rest of the money I was having the company. So that was actually how this company died at the time.
mm.
But going back to
It's a near-death experience.
basically this was when I was 24 years old,
Mm,
so around almost 7 years ago. And basically I did that year my third Vipassana retreat. And in this retreat of meditation of 10 days in silence, I found out inside myself something that it was really hard for me to accept it at the time. That it was that I was valuing myself, I was loving myself by how much I was giving to others. So I was the only way to feel loved, the only way to feel myself worthy was by how much I was giving, basically. And that at the time was making me to be someone that was giving to themselves really little. Like literally when I was having this startup, I was the employee, we can say I was the CEO, but I was the person who was getting the less amount of money
mm.
of all the people in the company. Precisely because I was having this attitude of giving everything I was able to
Yeah.
the benefit of others.
Sacrifice and everything.
Yes. And I thought that was what was good to do. But then what I realized in this retreat of meditation within myself is that was precisely what it was not allowing myself to be happy. And when I saw that, and I saw that actually this was a mechanism that was something that it was introducing me when I was a child, because we go to school and they're asking us, what do you want to be when you get old? And they are telling you all the time, think about the future, what you want to become, right? Because you are not nothing, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
count that you're a child. Is this we can say programming they put it into everyone in one way or another about that you are worthy for what you give. But for me, that was something that I got it really strong in myself. And then what happened is that when I found out, I got into a existential crisis because I saw that my whole life was defined by this. And I was like, I don't want to continue being me. And what happened then is that a little bit after, like some months after this, my sister, she saw me a video, Bufo practitioner. Bufo is considered the most strong psychedelic in the planet. It's also called the God molecule. Basically, what he was describing is how he was super addicted and having really bad life and having money problems, relationships, everything. It was terrible life that he was having. And then a friend recommended him to take this medicine. And then when he did it, what happened is that he experienced himself dissolving completely, dying. and basically becoming one with the universe, with the infinite, with God. And then when he came back out of that, he was a completely different person. He left everything that was having before, like all the drugs, all like toxic relationships that he was having, all his life. He just quit the job, everything, and he started to be really connected with himself, really alive. And when I hear that history, I was like, what? This is crazy. That something that you take, that you smoke, can do something like that, you know? And I remember getting really scared. When I hear that, I was like, fuck, it sounds interesting, but it sounds so scary.
Yeah.
So I was not really interested on trying it. I was like, okay, yeah, sure. As if it feels like something that I may do at some point, maybe. But I'm too scared for doing this right now.
So you were afraid what
I
might
was
happen
afraid of dying.
of dying. Okay.
And because this was described as you're dead, as dying,
Oh.
literally,
Hmm.
and dying and born again, basically. So I was quite scared of that. But a deep part in myself was knowing that I was need that.
Hmm.
I was precisely needing that. And then I remember I told to a friend from the north of Europe, and she said to me, "Guess what?
He's had it.
I have it here. If you come here to visit me, you can try it." It has changed my life also. And I was like, what?
How
What?
was that? So how was that a near-death experience? Did you die when you took it, and then how did it feel? Or did you feel like you died rather?
So at some point, it happened. I did it. And
Okay.
I remember something really interesting. And it was that at the beginning, when I was trying it, because I was trying it, and nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait, what? I guess I thought this was like really powerful. And my friend was like, I don't know what is happening. Why is not working with you? But it's not working. And at some point, I realized that the reason it wasn't working, it was because this was not just taking something. This was a choice. This was something that I was need to actually look for. So it wasn't something you can try. It's something you go for it. I guess probably the reason it was not working, it was because this is a hormone that your body also produces. Usually produced in big quantities when you are dying.
Oh, wow.
Because that, I was probably what was happening is that my own body was blocking this hormone because I was not ready to die. And then later, after some days, I felt this really deep, strong calling from all my being. I remember having this déjà vu about that this was something that was happening. And then I remember I asked to my friend, and she gave it to me. She didn't wanted to sit with me. She said, here you have everything, you do it by yourself.
Mm.
And I was like, wow, okay. Anyway, I want to do it. I remember how scared I was. But at the same time, I will remember how important it was for me to free myself, to do this step. I was having already some practice going through my fears. I can tell you, I used to be a person that I used to be really afraid of everything, afraid of even how I was walking. But I was slowly accumulating this capacity of walking my fears, of putting off the lights because I was scared of darkness, of doing bungee jumping because I was scared of high altitudes, of doing theater because I was scared of speaking with people in general. So I was slowly overcoming all these fears. So when I saw this new fear, I was like, I can go through this. But then another part was like, yeah, but you can go through, but can you? Who is the person who's going to come back from that? If you
Yeah.
die, how do you know who is going to be you? But because it was anyway this deep part in myself that it didn't want it to continue in being alive. That was what actually made me to say, okay, let's do it. And then what happened when I did it was that I remember first going into this emptiness.
Hmm.
this like void.
Okay.
And then in this void, at some point, I started to recognize some type of beings around me. But then when I asked myself what they were, actually I was able to realize that every one of them, it was the connection to the different senses I have. Not only the sense of visual sense, olfactory sense, but also the sense of memory, the sense of a body, the sense of disliking or liking something, the sense of being hungry. And I was looking to all these things that they were connected to me. And I was realizing that I was none of them. I was realizing that I was not my memories, I was not my likes or dislikes, I was not my body, not my views, no anything of this. And then as I was realizing that in a really clear way, I look inside and I asked myself, wait, if I'm nothing of this, who I am? And then I saw inside deeply and it was nothing. And then I realized, oh, this is who I am. I'm the present moment.
Okay.
I am the moment itself who is
Just
observing.
Okay, so not actually something, but everything.
It's not everything, and yes, it is. It's nothing at the same time.
Just a
Where is the
moment.
present moment? Where is the present moment?
That's pretty deep. We might have to explore that a little bit more later on. We'll break it down, but
Sure.
yeah.
So what happened is that as I realized that I was nothing of this, and I was just a present moment. In the moment I just realized it, and I recognized it, suddenly this explosion of light come, and I was just in pure light. And
Wow.
everything behind just disappeared, just went away. I went there to a different realm, a different place. I don't know where I was. What I know is that at some point, after what it feels like no time, I went to a room. And it was like a white room. And in this white room, it was like some inscriptions in front of me. Between that inscriptions and me, it was like a machinery with a hologram. And in this hologram, it was the hologram of, in 2 dimensions, of a humanoid clown that was dancing. And as I was looking into it, because I left behind everything else, but as I was looking into it, I started to download the information of this reality. And I started to download that I have a body.
Mm.
And I started to feel how I was entering into this body. I started to feel how I was born into this body. And I remember entering, I remember how I was breathing, how I was like this, what, I am alive, you know? And at some point I opened my eyes and I was like, what? I was speaking a completely different language that no one was understanding it, but it was my language because I didn't know anything from the life I was. And I slowly to start to understand the things. But first I was like outside, I was just feeling the floor, I was just touching the grass, I was just breathing and feeling my lungs, and I was like, my goodness, I'm alive. I'm alive.
Were you able to recognize anybody around you at that point?
No. I didn't know anything from before. I was just born. And then slowly, after like a week, I started to get that I was having previously a life and that people were supposed to be my friends. And I started to like kind of like,
It's a weird place to be.
and I like, it was like a full reset. It was a full
Yeah.
reset of everything previously. And it's like, how I know that it was real, the life I was having before. I don't have an idea. But what I know is that I started from zero. And then at some point, I started to have some access to the memories that this body was carrying from before. And it was like looking to a previous life somehow. That was not even myself identifying at all. So it was really weird when I was meeting my mom or my sisters or everyone else, because it was like, I know you're supposed to be this, but I don't know who you are. You know? So that was a full reset. In all senses, I was like reborning, but not reborning because for me it was like borning. But at the same time,
Yeah.
was to integrate all the previous life that I was having from before. And it was really weird to actually look into how the person was previously, it was treating itself in certain ways. Now I understand a lot better because I had integrated many of these memories.
Okay.
I had been also doing certain work because one thing is to hear yourself mentally in the soul, other aspects, but still your body can carry the things emotionally that happen at the time, even when your mind maybe is not connected at all with that. So it has been really interesting that since then, because for me it was like I am born into a new reality where instead of starting as a baby, I'm starting as someone that has born and taking the life of this person. And it's okay, great.
Okay.
Of course, this can be a little bit hard to other
Yeah.
people to understand.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have found some people that had also similar experience, which is really weird.
It's
It's
not that
something that,
hard. It's just that people might not want to believe until they experience it themselves.
of course, I think the person that was before, it will be not believing at all. Because believing something like that will change completely, Saturn completely
Exactly.
your own structure of what do you think is this world and what do you think who
Exactly.
you are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
of course,
it definitely believing something like that is basically killing what you already know and starting anew. So it will
yeah,
take the experience itself to let go of what you're used to. So of course, it's going to
absolutely.
be difficult. Yeah.
And the person it was previously, it was like really scientific. It was not a spiritual at all, zero,
Mm.
like nothing,
The old, you mean the
Uh,
old you?
yes,
The old
yes,
you.
they all me.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I mean,
The- that-
it's not all me. That is the thing. It's not. I cannot say me because it's not me.
yeah,
It's the old
yeah.
person that was before.
The old person. That person is dead
Yeah.
and gone. This is new, the new birth of
Yes, exactly.
that
And
makes sense.
also something really interesting happened. That is that after that, I was like, okay, so I have this body, I have this life. I know I want what I want. That is basically to be free, to just travel the world, to just give to myself the love I know I deserve.
Yeah.
And but then, I was having this thing about, oh wait, like I don't want to come back to the life that was previously, but I need the support of the main people in yeah, the main people that was supporting me previously.
Yeah.
I was supporting this body previously, and the persona I was previously. So how I do that? And then I was like, the key person that has been supporting me, that have a lot of presence in the investors and everything, is actually my uncle. He was a really important figure in my family and also in the company that I was leading.
Okay.
So what I did, it was to ask to my uncle to go with
Okay.
me and walk. I was knowing that he was really close mind at the time because he used to be a national police anti-drugs.
That's not the best person to choose. Why would you go get your Okay, it's getting more interesting now. Okay, so how did that work out?
Thank you for tuning in to part 1 of Nyxie's captivating story. We hope you found her journey inspiring and thought-provoking. To continue listening to the rest of Nyxie's fascinating narrative, be sure to click on the next part. And while you're here, don't forget to hit the follow button to stay updated on all our latest episodes.